Welcome to the Billionaire Lifestyle Podcast with your host, Emmett Muckles. Please visit iTunes, Stitcher, or emmettmuckles.com to listen to all the episodes for free.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Billionaire Lifestyle Podcast with your man and me. You know, same thing, Emmett Muckles. Today is a day that you were given as a blessing. In this time of COVID-19, there are many people who are not progressing to the next day. So this day, you have to revel in the moment and be in the moment. Here's what I want you to do. Take the wisdom from the past, but don't bring it into your life as a hard fact. And I want you to do your human magic, which is you can predict the future. And I'm going to tell you how you do that. You do that with imagination, because you can imagine what you're going to do tomorrow or what you're going to do next year, and that can happen. You can make it happen, which means you can predict the future. Moving on. Today, I got an awesome guest. This is just, I watched this woman speak and she gave me goosebumps. I was like, oh, I found my thing. I was like, oh. And her name is Annie Meehan. What's up, Annie Meehan?
Hey, how are you?
Man,
Thank you.
You were just on fire. But I've been giving you this praise pre the show. And I'm feeling you. So, but I want to ask you this, because a lot of people don't know about this organization, and I've been a part of it from the Michigan chapter for a wee bit, which is National Speakers Association, which acronym is NSA. But if you type in NSA looking for the National Speakers Association, don't do that, because you might go to the National Security Agency and
That's right.
But how did you come to NSA, and what did that do for you? And I just want to give this, because a lot of people don't know about it, and they don't know what it does. A lot of people confuse it with Toastmasters.
That's right. They do. I came to NSA 6 years ago. I was being interviewed for a commercial. At the time, I owned 2 gyms, and the interviewer for the commercial said to me, Annie, I get that you love gyms and you love helping people get healthy and you love supplements, but who are you really? I'm like, oh my gosh, that's easy. I'm a female version of Tony Robbins. I speak all over the world. She's like, where do you speak? I go, well, nowhere really. But in my head, I am going to be, now I don't want to be Tony Robbins anymore. So I'm grateful for that. I want to be me.
Right.
But she said, have you ever heard of NSA? And she told me to meet up with a guy named Mark LeBlanc. I went and met him, and he said, you got to come to the academy. You got to sign up. And I think the next day I signed up. I graduated a year later, qualified for membership. Then I became a facilitator for NSA Academy for 2 years, jumped on the board, and last year served as president. I'm serving my last year on the board till July 1st as past president. But for me, so many people reach out and say, tell me about NSA, Annie. I want to be like you. I want to be a speaker. I want to do what you do. And I'm like, do you know how to speak? I said, go to Toastmasters, which I've never been part of, but I know enough people that have. Go to Toastmasters if you want to gain confidence, practice your speech, and learn how to speak. Go to NSA if you want to learn the business of speaking.
Yep.
So to me, NSA is the business side of doing this thing that I think people speak for 3 reasons. 1, because you can make good money if you're good at it. 2, because you have power and influence, and some people like that. And 3, and these are my people, people that truly believe they can be difference makers in the world. And they speak because they have something to teach, and they care about humans being the best version of themselves. So I love NSA, and I love speaking.
So you know Mark LeBlanc too?
Yes. Who doesn't know Mark LeBlanc? Right?
I mean, yeah, because I met him years ago when I wrote my book. I was like, and he was just such a positive force in my whole thing. So, like I said, ladies and gentlemen, this woman is a fabulous keynote inspirational speaker, award-winning author, and she just has so much going for her. And her whole premise, as I said in the intro, is be the exception.
That's right.
How did you find your tagline? Because, it's so simple, but yet people, and it resonates with me because I'm like that. What was that movie where that kid said, I see dead people? I see mediocre people.
Me too. I try not to tell them that I see them, but yes.
I'm pretty bad. I'm pretty upfront and be like, nah, here's your M.
You're mediocre. I would love to take all the credit, but actually two other people deserve the credit. The first is Oprah Winfrey. When I was 18, I was on the Oprah show, and I literally couldn't hear her words when I was 18. I was really struggling. I was working 3 jobs, supporting my little brother. I'm one of 7 kids, the middle of 7. Ooh. And she told me, I was a guest on her show with a girl from LA and a girl from Chicago, and we were all kind of homeless. And she told me, don't let the people that have put labels on you stick on you, and don't let your past define your future. You can be the exception. Literally, I didn't hear those words till I was 21. And I remember thinking, what if I could be a difference maker? What if where I came from is not where I end up? And so I started writing a book about 20 years ago called Dumpster to Dynasty. And it was about growing up in a physical, my mother's a hoarder, financial. Ooh. We literally were so poor, we ate out of dumpsters, an emotional dumpster, severe depression and sadness all the time. And today I live, in my opinion, a dynasty life. But like you said, it's not all about money. It's about like, I can give, I can let teenagers come live with me. I always have food on the counter because I didn't grow up with food. It's all about that. But I met a publisher, or she heard me speak, and she said, Annie, you got to write a book. And I said, I'm writing this great book. It's called Dumpster to Dynasty. It's my memoir. And she said, don't write that. And I was like, why? She said, because you are the exception. Teach us how to be like you. How do we come through? A lot of people say they speak on resilience, and many people do. We all have to overcome something. I just had to overcome like 300 things by the time I was 18. So much trauma and tragedy repeated multiple times by multiple people and situations. And she wanted me to teach people, how did you break the cycle? How did you not end up in prison, end up a drug addict, end up severely depressed? And because I have siblings, I had 6, one passed away. She wanted me to teach what I did to become who I am. And that's how Be the Exception came to be.
Now, you know what's funny about this, and anyone can do this, because we were talking earlier, and we were talking about how people put labels on someone. So if I'm in Meijer or Walmart and I see you, I'm going to put a label. I'm like, middle class, white female, got it going on. What does she know? Right? And you never, and this is something that I heard years ago that has always stuck with me. A, you don't know what's in someone's head, what they're thinking. B, you don't know what they've been through by looking at who they are. Because you can see somebody who just looks methed out, but you don't know they come from a dynasty of very wealthy, monetarily affluent people. And conversely, you see someone else, you're like, they got it going on. You're like, you don't understand.
Yeah, that's right. And I think a lot of people do that with me when people haven't heard me speak, and then they hear me, they're like, oh my gosh, like, you're seriously so happy and positive and generous. And like, you have every reason to be bitter and be negative. And one of my siblings even, she says to me, like, why are you so nice and happy? Like, people weren't nice to us. I don't want to be nice to people. And I run a mastermind in my home for professional speakers from NSA. And I've done it for over 5 years now. And once one of the guys was giving me crap, he was like, why are you always helping people? Why are you always doing stuff? I said, I don't know. I just like to. And the woman who used to be a therapist said, and somebody said, I know it's because everyone that did stuff for Annie. And the woman said, no, it's for everyone that never did anything for Annie. And she doesn't want people to feel like what she felt like. And I think that is such a driver in my life. Like, it was May Day a couple days ago. So my son and I baked chocolate chip cookies, and we delivered 26 bags of chocolate chip cookies with a poem. And I do it because I want someone else to have joy, because exactly what you said. 2 people called me crying saying, I'm so depressed. This is so hard on me. And we don't know what we have the privilege to do. Like you said, today's a gift, to the privilege to do for someone else that might be the greatest blessing of their day, right? Maybe it's a smile, maybe it's cookies, maybe it's whatever. So I think I became the exception to show other people that even if you have no support, you can do something exceptional with your life.
Now, you made a conscious choice to be who you are in this moment, or in moments in recent past, you made a conscious choice to do exactly that. So what can you teach us? Well, I do the same thing. But what can you teach someone who is struggling with this about living by choice? Because we have free will.
That's right. Yeah. Right now I have two favorite sayings. One of my favorite sayings, and I try to write it whenever I sign a book, is live by choice, not by chance or by circumstance. Because sometimes I meet someone and they're so stuck in the bitterness of something bad happened. I lost my job unfairly. My husband cheated on me. My wife did this to me. My whole family's unhealthy. People have stories, right? But every story has a reward and a consequence. So for me, and I didn't decide it once, I have to decide it every day. Like every day I have to get up and be like, oh, I just want to feel sorry for myself. Nope, I'm going to get out of bed and do something healthy. I have to decide, because people are like, is it easy for you? And I'm like, never. I have two sisters that write negative reviews on my social media and on my Amazon because they don't want me to succeed consistently. Yeah. Consistently. And I could easily just be like, I'm exhausted. I don't want to fight the good fight anymore. But I don't. I mean, I'm so much happier being positive. So live by choice is for me, like in every situation, I have a choice. Don't respond to unhealthy people, set boundaries, take care of myself, like every day making choices, go for a walk when I'd rather stay home and eat a dozen donuts. And my saying since March 13th was my final presentation before everything came to a standstill for me. I was out speaking at the Mall of America, and the governor was going to announce at 1:00, and people were running out of the room at 12:30. It was like, oh my gosh, I've never had this. I get up every day now and I say, be innovative, be creative, and be generous. And I try to make that choice every day because I think it's easy right now with COVID and with my business literally being at a standstill to feel defeated, to want to give up. And I have to decide, how can I give? How can I be generous? How can I be creative and innovative? And kind of just adding to the live by choice.
I was looking at your bio and I was just trying to figure out, what is with the pineapple? I was just trying in my own head. I was like, I'll just ask her,
Do you know anything about pineapples?
I know that they're very acidic in certain things. They make great drinks. And they're good for cleansing.
There you go. So I didn't know much about pineapples, but my colors are orange and blue. And I love teaching people to live in color and dress up in color and just come alive. And so I wear this orange suit a lot when I speak. In fact, I have 4 of them because I love it so much. So I went and bought 4. But a girlfriend was in town from Chicago, actually, in Minneapolis where I live. And she called me. She's like, get to this store right away. There's a skirt here you got to get. And I was like, all right. Race over to this store. And there's a bright orange skirt, which is me, except for it's covered with pineapples. And I'm like, what's the deal with the pineapples? She's like, Annie, you are such a pineapple. I'm like, I'm a pineapple? What does that mean even? I didn't know. And she said, the pineapple, don't you know the pineapple poem? Now, she's a preschool teacher. I am not. And she said, the pineapple poem goes like this. Be a pineapple, stand up straight, wear a crown, and be sweet on the inside. And so I was like, that's interesting. Be a pineapple. She goes, you're a pineapple to people. So one of my big philosophies, Emmett, is that just like you were talking about how you see people, we all have a story, but then we all have a story behind our story, right? And some people are more cautious with sharing it, and some people are more open. I believe most people have a story even behind that story. So when you get to know someone, you share more, but many people have a private part to their life they don't share with anyone. And for me, that part was, I was a birth mom. I had a daughter I wasn't able to raise, and my sister adopted her and raised her. And I always think, like, what if this poem had layers to it? What if there was something it was trying to teach us beyond being cute, right? It's a cute poem. But so I asked myself, what does it mean to stand up tall? And what I always say is, like, we live in a world like this. Like, I'm looking down at my cell phone. I'm talking, hey, Emmett, what's going on? But really, I'm not really fully present with you. I'm looking at my cell phone, or I'm looking down because I'm self-conscious, or I'm waving at you, but I'm wondering if someone more interesting is right behind you. And so I think the poem says, when we stand up straight, we literally see someone. Like, I look at you and I see you. And to honor a person is to truly see them and listen to them, hold their stories. I talk about wearing a crown. is then I realize I'm valuable. So if I get up in the morning and I ask myself, what do I feel like doing? If I'm honest with you, a lot of days I don't feel like being as positive, or I don't feel like being as generous. But I have to remember I value myself. I go drink a glass of water. I go for a walk. I do something healthy rather than sit and eat a box of chocolates, which might be what I want to do. But if I wear a crown and I value me, well, then I also see your crown and I value you.
Yeah.
And if I'm sweet on the inside, what comes through my mouth, and in particular through my keyboard where people hide, is kindness and encouragement and love, right? And so for me, I started writing about that, and what ended up happening, or I started talking about that. What ended up happening is, like, literally one of the first stories in my Pineapple Principle book is I'm in the bathroom and, like, I'm super intentional now. Look at people. And there was a woman in the bathroom, and I just looked at her and I kind of approached her to talk to her. And she was like, why are you talking to me? What are you doing? Who are you? And I was like, I don't know. I just want to talk to you. Ultimately, she asked to come hear me speak. We went back and forth throughout the day. She got asked to leave my presentation because she was talking during it. And by not me, but some of the audience. But she left me a note with her phone number, and I tracked her down, and I wanted to bring her some gift cards. And she came running out to my car sobbing. And I was like, are you okay? And she said, you don't understand. I'm 36 years old, and my whole life, you're the first woman to ever look at me and not judge me. I'm an exotic dancer, and you didn't care. You just were kind. And throughout the book, I talk about different stories and how this enormous impact by just being a pineapple. How hard is it to be a little fruity, Emmett? Right?
You got to watch where you say that nowadays.
I know, but I don't care. I say it.
But you made me think about something, because there's a trait to my character where years and years and years and years ago, I saw this presentation from this woman about wrapped boxes with silver bows on top. I can't think. I bought her book, but basically she said that your job is to give away these boxes every day, and it's a box, and it's if you think of it literally, there's a box, but if you open it, there's nothing in it. But you never open the box. The person can never open the box because it's whatever they want that's in it. So basically, you're looking at someone and trying to find that silver bow on them. I'm notorious for this. I'll see you in, like I said, the store, and I go, your eyes are amazing. Or, you know what? I like that color on you. Recently, it's changed. Because a male can't necessarily say things like that to another female without them. Right. Well, let me get this right. It depends on the age.
Depends on the person.
Yeah, because they can take it wrong. Like, he's trying to hit on me, or he's like, no, I am trying to show you that I see you. Yeah. So but it's weird because I actually have to take them in almost spiritually to see if I can give them this gift. I have to judge it. And also I have to make the choice to say, I'm going to give you this. Whatever comes of it, whether it comes back and it doesn't do me great, I'm willing to take that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so many people, like you said, I think so many people are afraid to just do that, because if for one day everybody thought about the other person and why we are here, we're here to serve each other. I'm here to serve you. And if we would do that, this thing would change overnight.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I love that. You were saying earlier, you can see people that are mediocre, right? I can see that too. I can see people that are stuck. But what I can also see is I can see what people don't say. And I think that people can smile at you and go, great. How's your marriage? Wonderful. How are you? Perfect. But I can always see what they're not saying. And That's a powerful thing. And I have 5 books, but one is a gratitude journal. And the gratitude journal is basically blank. I sold 150 copies before I wrote it. And the reason why is because of how I teach about gratitude. And it's perfectly aligned with what you were saying, is that it's great every night to write down 3 things or 5 things that you're grateful for and to get up in the morning and read it. That's a positive thing, right? And I think that if you do that, you're going to have a good life because you're going to focus on what you have and you're going to remember what you have. But I don't like to teach people to have a good life. I want you to have a great life. So what I like to add to that is, what did you give away today? Write down 1 or 2 things you gave away. Did you give away a smile, a kind word, patience, a listening ear, a gift, whatever it is? Because I think when it's not about us and it's about generosity, we go from a good life to a great life. And so many people are worried about, if I give Emmett this, what am I going to get? And if I do this for her, that they've lost their joy, you know? And if we can help people recognize that joy comes from giving, like it multiplies it. So I just love, my mom's 91. She repeats a lot of stories and I just listen, you know, sometimes it's 3 times in the same call, but it makes her happy.
But you know what? You just said something that's very important that I think is missing in our current society, which is, you said you listen to your mom. You listen to somebody that's been through some things before you. So many times, and I'm seeing this now, because I didn't. I often listened and was a voyeur for those who have been on the planet longer than me, so I could take some wisdom from their life. Whether it was good or bad, I could take that and compartmentalize it and say, how would this affect me? How would I be in that situation? So then when those situations come up, you have some wisdom going into it. Like you said, everything's a choice. And the universe is always giving you the best things that you can. You just have to be open so that you can make the best choice. But right now we're going through an unprecedented situation. The globe in our lifetime, in our parents' lifetime, has not seen it to this level. How do you stay positive in situations like this? But, you know, there are smaller situations as well. There can be just a day like, I didn't expect to get this light bill for like $600 when it's usually like $100. That can ruin someone's day. Or I haven't been outside or seen another human being in 45 days. That can wreck your cycle. So how do you keep it together? What methods do you have?
Those are great questions too. And I'm an extreme extrovert, so this is a really hard and interesting season, right? And so when you're locked in your house and you're used to being on airplanes flying all over and being with hundreds or thousands of people every week, now you're like, okay, how do I keep it together? Oh goodness, I do lots of different things. I try to stay connected and stay inspiring through social media. So one of my things right now is, I know many of my clients can't pay me, or now's not the right time. And so I always think, like, how can I still serve, which is enormously rewarding to me. So when I do a blog post or a Facebook Live and people watch it over and over and write to me or share it, that's like kind of how I stay positive, because I'm like, okay, my work still matters. Yeah. It's not about money. It's about difference making. I stay positive and healthy by taking care of myself. I mean, I literally, if I don't exercise every day, and I'm not like a fit fanatic by any means, but go for a walk, get on the treadmill, dance around my kitchen, lift some weights, do some push-ups. If I don't do something every day, I can get really down. I'm also, in some ways, as much as I'm worldly and wide, I'm also very small. And in that is in the sense, I am very protective over what I watch and what I listen to. I do not watch anything scary. I do not watch the news. I do not listen to negativity. And some people yell at me like, Annie, you're an influencer. You're this intelligent woman. I go, I am. And if I need to know something, I will find out. But I'm not going to sit there for hours. I didn't even know what it meant to binge watch TV before the COVID, because I don't watch TV. My kids had to teach me. I was like, oh, is this what people do? I like to read. I like to dance. I like to write. I have my own private space in my house that's like a porch and an office, and I love to be outside. Being active is how I stay healthy and positive. Being around positive people, taking breaks from negative people, not watching. I think people give too much power to others and be like, well, everyone's down. I also watch my language. So not only swearing, but like, people keep calling COVID crazy. This is crazy. We're in crazy times. And I'm like, can I help you reframe that? I think we're in interesting times. I think we're in challenging times. I mean, I literally went from, this was going to be the best year of my life financially and impact-wise, the number of people, thousands, tens and 20s of thousands of people, and it stopped, and that is gone. And I have a lot of reasons to feel sorry for myself or be sad. My son's graduating from college on Friday, and we're going to do it in our house.
Right.
But I choose not to be. I choose to wonder about, someone else has it worse than me. I think one of the dangerous things to say is, can things get any worse? Because I always go, it can. Trust me, I know. Don't ever say that.
Oh,
right?
I there's a sentence that I stopped saying many years ago. What else can I let that go? Because it will show you. You're like, oh, you really want to know, huh? Well, here you go.
Kidding.
No,
yeah.
No.
So that's how I stay positive. And I don't have a sick kid in the hospital. And people that have that stay positive. And I'm here for another day, which I never thought I'd live this long. So for me, every day is like a miracle,
Wow.
So, perspective.
You never thought we got to get into that. Oh, we got to get into that. What do you mean? Because I identify with that. So people ask me, Emmett, why are you so happy? And I said, I hit 50.
Yeah.
And they're like, what's so? I was like, for a man of color, that darn near guarantees I could hit 75. I was like, you don't understand how many people don't make it to 30, 35, 40, 45. They just don't make it. There's hypertension, there's bias, there's stress, there's strokes, there's heart attacks. People are under a lot of pressure in my demographic, and it just gets to them. I'm like, but I followed those shiny things. It's like, oh, look, there's some shiny over there. I'm going over there. So I understand when I hear someone say that, I can identify with where they're coming from. Because like I said, when you think you can remember yesterday, but take the wisdom of yesterday. Like, yeah, that was really difficult, but I'm here.
I think for me, some of that, some of my whole family is on blood pressure medication, all my siblings and my mom. My father drank himself to death. But for me, my first 20 years of my life, I was sad every day, severely depressed, didn't want to get up the next day, right? And at 20, at 19, I got pregnant, and I thought, oh my gosh, if I can't take care of myself, because I'm not worth taking care of, by golly, I'm going to take care of this child. I'm going to give this kid the kind of parents I always wished I had, but never got.
Yeah.
And that changed me. But mental health was such a consuming part of our household that 5 different siblings with suicide attempts, one brother I lost to suicide. And so for me, I never just thought I'd live. Like I just thought, I don't want to live. I'm not going to live. And I remember thinking, like, if I ever made it to 40, that would be like such a miracle. Like, how do you come out of this sort of darkness that we grew up in and have life? How could there be life? What would that look like? What would that feel like? So every day is a gift, right? I know where I came from. I know who I am, whether anybody else knows or not. And I think that every year, when you look at life, like some people just like, they have had a great life. They've had a very vanilla-ish life of 2 great parents and everything's great. And they have, and I'm all like, when I meet people like that, I think, are you for real? Like I used to think that was possible. And then I was like, everybody's got hardship, but there are some people that make it through at least a long time without having a struggle, or they have one struggle and they get stuck in it. And I think, holy cow, like there's a Ziggy cartoon where he's looking up at God saying, why me, God? And God looks down and goes, why not? And I'm like, that's how I always think, like, why not something bad happen? This is part of life, the good and the bad. And not that I'm a pessimist, just that I'm a realist now. Like I'm still an optimist, but I'm a realist in knowing, so COVID's happening. So this is inconvenient. So people are going to die. So people are going to lose their jobs, and there's going to be sadness and tragedy. And I don't undermine it. Everybody's story has value. I just am not surprised. And I put a video on Facebook and LinkedIn today, and I don't know if people will like it or not, but it's really about a little boy in the future asking his dad to tell him about the virus and what happened during the virus. And his dad's very sweet to say, people came back together as family. People quit spending money like crazy.
Oh, yeah.
People came to the park again, right? Like it's like the good stuff that comes out of this. And so I'm not saying there's not sad and tragic directly affecting me and my family, but there's also good, right?
Yeah, I did 19 miles yesterday.
Wow. Walking or running or biking?
Riding a bike, which I have not done since 94.
See? There
That's
you go.
1994, people.
Yeah.
Now, we've talked about, some of the things, and you and I share some of the visions of not being on the flat plane, because the zero plane is just, I'm good. Believe it or not, at zero, you're just coasting along.
Yeah.
But then you can go up and you can go below zero. So what's your highest above zero? Value wise. Yeah.
Like, what have I done or what?
No, what's your highest value?
Oh, what do I value the most?
Yeah.
My faith. I mean, for me, like, God made me. He took everything that was messy about me and everybody that bet against me, and everybody said she'll never be anything. She can't read. She can't write. She can't spell. I didn't finish high school. I didn't finish college. I laugh because I say, people say, you need more initials behind your name after they hear me speak. I'm like, well, I can add GED, ADD, ADHD, whatever you want. But I get to teach people with their PhD, with my GED, because I know a lot about life.
Right.
And I know that no one's greater than and no one's less than. It took me a long time to know that. And I think my highest value is my faith and my family. And honestly, being a difference maker. Like, I feel like I've been given this plethora of gifts that are different than other people's gifts. I don't do it. I'm not an expert. I don't do it perfectly. If you read some of my writing, if it hasn't been edited, you'll be like, who is this woman? I was asked if I was illiterate at 21. But I have wisdom, I might not have the most head knowledge, but I have wisdom. And for me, being a difference maker, the emails that I get where people say, because of what you said today, so a lot of times people tell me I changed their life. And I always say, I don't change your life. I just invite you to change your life.
Yeah.
And then you get to choose and you get to do the work. But that's a huge high for me, and my faith, my family, my friends, being with people. I miss my people.
I like your pineapple principle poster back there.
Oh yeah. My book. Yeah.
Now, this is going to change gears dramatically here.
Okay. Here we go.
So we've been talking about personage, if that's a word, your personal endeavors, how as individuals we should view the world and the options that we have to do so. But now I'm going to move to what most people talk about. So how does one move from the financial world to entrepreneurship?
Yeah. It's not that things were by accident in my life, but I'm not always strategically planned, or maybe I am. But I applied as a single mom to be a receptionist at a financial firm. And I had a girlfriend that worked there, and she's like, Annie, be great. She'll work hard. And within 10 months, I applied for an accounting position that required 4 years of accounting experience and a bachelor's degree against 30 other people. So I knew I wouldn't get the job, but I thought, what the heck? You really won't get it if you don't put your name in. And 2 weeks later, the manager, Jeff, called me into his office, and I knew he was going to tell me you don't have it. And he says, Annie, I want to talk to you. And I was like, okay. I'm like, it's okay if I don't get the job. And he goes, no, I'm offering you the job. I'm like, why? I don't have a college degree. I'm trying to talk him out of it. Like, I'm not qualified. Why would you offer me the job? I don't have a degree. I've never worked in accounting, anything. And he said, halfway through the interview, I asked you to count backwards from 93 by sevens. And everybody that I interviewed, I asked them, and they're nervous. They're halfway through, and taking two odd numbers in a person's brain and counting backwards is really hard. He said, some people laughed, some people tried and failed, and some people asked for a calculator. You just did it. You just answered. And I always think that's one of the advantages of being poor is your pennies. And so he offered me the position, and I worked in that, calculating retail brokers' commission for 2 years. And from that, I was offered a position up in syndicate, taking private companies public. And from that, I moved into institutional trading and institutional settlement. And when I was 30, US Bank bought Piper Jaffray, and they offered us a very nice package to sell our stocks and retire. And I had just given birth to our last baby boy, who's now 21. And my husband said, stay home with the kids. And if you don't want to work, this very stressful job, it was 440 people on my floor, 420
Wow.
were men, and 20 of us were women. So 420 men and 20 women. And there was usually a woman crying in the bathroom because we were not treated fabulously. But I left there, came home for a number of years with the kids, volunteered a ton, and then bought our first gym that would be my gym. So
Wow.
yeah.
Say that again. Count backwards from 90.
From 93 by 7. So 86, 79.
Right. Down to 0.
Down to 0. Well, it doesn't, yeah, but down to 2, I believe.
And see that once again, I have this thing about how we've valued college. And we've thrown a great deal of exceptional people away because they don't have this college. And I've had a couple of jobs where I've ascended up and and I came across these people who had a lot of letters behind them. And I'm not taking anything away, but I know quite a few people who have a lot of letters behind their name. A box of rocks they can compete with.
Yeah. Because they don't have the common sense, but they have the street sense, and they can probably spell a lot better than I can and do some things. But for me, I had to learn everything the hard way. I've worked since I was 7. I know how to work really hard.
Oh, I laugh at the spell thing because I make all of these posts, and my wife, it's a running joke. I always get one word wrong because I got these big sausage fingers and I'm just typing away. So I did this post the other day. She was like, you spell quarantine wrong. I'm like, but how many people got it that I spelled it wrong besides you? She was like, good point.
Or who cares?
Oh, who cares?
You just felt it differently. When I work with educators, I always say, what do you notice about kids first? I've heard people say bad kids, naughty kids, not smart kids. We learn different. Some of the most successful people in the world have ADD or ADHD or dyslexia. I have dyslexia. So we see things differently, but it actually enhances our creativity because we can see things. I see letters and words that aren't there. When I read people's names to give away prizes after I'm speaking, I read in pictures. So your name, like I would say muscles. I would look at all those letters and that's what I see. Now other people wouldn't see that, but that's how the letters come together with me. Yeah. And then call somebody warm blanket, somebody Cruella, somebody, Michael Jordan was in I just see in the person's name is not that at all.
Right.
And they're like, how did you see that? And I go, it's just how my eyes work. I don't think I'm less than. I don't have a disability. I have a difference. Some people might see it as less than, but those aren't my people.
You see it through a different dimension.
Yeah. So there you go.
So are you doing any workshops online? Are you doing any, casting out, or you have any groups that you're working with? What are you doing, my friend?
Yeah, I'm doing a lot of things. My passion this week, the last couple of weeks, is I really want my book Be the Exception to go to every graduate from high school or college. So I've been reaching out to high schools and colleges and banks, asking them to sponsor, and I'm offering them 50% off my Be the Exception because I think they are the exception.
Yep.
So that's one thing I'm working on. About 4 weeks ago, I decided if I'm going to be home, I got to teach because that's who I am. So I started an online course every Wednesday at noon. So I have 10 people that jump on, and we're going to do a 7-week course. So this week is our 3rd week. I did 2 virtual presentations for International Women's Group last Thursday that an agent booked me for. I'm just doing everything. I don't really do webinars because I don't use PowerPoint. I do more like powerful presentations through the screen. And so I just get on and speak if I can. My desire is to have a moderator and to be able to see the faces of whoever's in the audience because I do interaction with them live. I'm just creating every day. My vision for this year was to reach out to food service and to hospitality. So pineapple is the international symbol of hospitality. So to reach out to hotels and food service.
Yeah.
I spent 2.5 years as a lunch lady. I've been a waitress lots of times in my life. And so, but because of what's happened with COVID, a lot of hotels and restaurants have set back. But I have a few clients that are kind of my dream clients for 2020. And the first one was WFF. It's Women's Food Forum. And just last week, like they've started to invite me into these weekly chats on Twitter with their people. They did this post about me on LinkedIn and Facebook, and they didn't even tell me. And they have my picture, and they're like writing, "We love Annie Me." And I'm like, oh my gosh, what a gift. And, nothing, I have not spoken for them yet. I chat with them. I reach out to them. So WFF, and then Nothing Bundt Cakes reached out to me and heard about my pineapple book. And they're like, we love this idea. We'd love to have you speak sometime and do a pineapple upside down cake. And then CHART, which is the Council of Hotel and Restaurant Training. And then NSA, the National, no, not NSA, NRA, National Restaurant Association. So just different organizations. I'm still reaching out every day. I have over 18,000 connections on LinkedIn, and that's been a great source. I get invited. I do about 5 podcasts a week that I'm invited onto people's podcasts, and I have over 200 videos on YouTube. So I'm always, how can I teach? How can I give? So I think I have 4 more virtual trainings this month in May. So I'm doing whatever I can do. It's a different world. It's not a dream. It wasn't my dream to do this, and yet I'm getting better at it all the time. So I still get to impact people.
And you can find out more information at Annie, AnnieMeehan.com. That's AnnieMeehan.com. Here are her strengths: empathy, communications, activator, developer, and what's woo?
Winning one's over.
See? Woo! Like Ric Flair. Well, I want to thank you so much for being on the Billionaire Lifestyle. It has been such a joy just to experience your aura.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's been fun to get to know you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, you are all billionaires. As I've said in over 250 shows of the past, here's how it works. There was a man, for the most part. There was a woman, for the most part. They came together. Could have been in the back of a car, could have been hanging out at home, could have been somewhere. They came together. They traded biological information. He gave something to her. Now, this is what's cool, because women take things and they make great things from what you give them. She took it in, and then in her thoughts, in her soul, in her being, she asked for the blessing, and the cosmic dance began. 2 became 4, 4 became 8. And they did that, and I'm just going to go 30 days out. At 30-day mark, that was over 1 billion cells. Making the self. See it? Cell, self. That's where you get it from, because you are serving your cells. Now, I want you to think about it from another point of view too, because we are all fractal and connected. If you look up in the sky, if you grab a telescope and you find these things called nebulae, they're these gaseous things. And then if you come back home, or if you step away from the telescope and you see your reflection of your iris, it looks like that nebulae. So, as above, so below. We are all fractal. Now, when you meet someone who has a nebulae in their eye, like the one in the sky, treat them with love, honor, and respect. Till next time, love you all. Peace.